My name's Brad. I'm from Wagga, New South Wales. This is my 1971 XY Falcon. I've always loved XYs. My dad bought me one when I was 12, and I think he wanted me to do it up more than I wanted to do it up. I actually sold that to one of my best mates to put a body kit on a Honda CRX. Yeah, regretted it from that day, so I nagged him to sell the car back to me. I think he got sick of that, so he found another car, called me up one day and said, come and pick it up. I've always wanted the XY, but for some reason my first car was a Honda CRX. All my mates were right into the four-cylinder scene, big stereos. Hondas were the thing back then. So having that car, then I got right into the Japanese scene and the import sort of scene. Probably the most memorable of my previous cars would be the Forester. I probably would never own another pink car again, but just the whole point of me doing up cars is to get in them and enjoy them with my mates or my family, cruise around. We drove everywhere in it. I drove it every day. It was, yeah, that's why I build my cars, is to just drive them as often as possible. Bought an XB panel van, started to spend a bit of money on it, tinker with it, and that rekindled my love for older muscle cars again. I bought the XY 8 years ago. I was a fair bit younger then, didn't have a family, and thought I'm going to build this car to be unbelievable. Got it home and it was an okay car, but it wasn't real flash. Everything was just chucked inside, so the grille was broken, the chrome was bent, everything was stuffed pretty much. I stripped it, that's the fun part. I stripped every wire, every nut and bolt, put it in a box, thinking, yep, this is going to be easy, I'll be able to build this thing. And that's when I realised that these things cost a lot of money, take a lot of time. I've always had sort of showy cars, so when I built this one, it being a GT replica, it had to have a bit of poke. We went with a Clevo, that's what GTs had to start with. The 393 stroke and everything that's in it is sort of a standard sort of thing these days, but it just gives it good streetable power. It's got a 950 Pro Systems carby on it, solid roller cam, 4V AFD heads. It's got a shortened 9-inch, it's got 20-inch billets. It's not tubbed or anything. I just got the wheels as much dish as I could possibly have. I had the wheels when the car was just a crappy shell. I've sort of built the back end of the car around that. It's got a True Track 9-inch, got reverse shift pattern, dual 3-inch exhaust. It's pretty loud, but I like it like that. My kids don't overly like it that much, but yeah, they'll grow out of that, I guess. It's just a driver. I just want to be able to drive it. I sort of wanted to try and keep it GT spec, so all the interior and everything is pretty much to spec. It's got GT gauges, GT steering wheel, console, all of that. So basically I could put some 5-slotters on it, put a shaker on it, and it would look pretty much like a GT anyway, but I prefer the tough sort of style. I like the big dish on the back, and I like the fat wheels. I like the air cleaner out the bonnet. When I was younger, and we've got a family farm, and one of my dad's first cars was a silver XY. He rode it off, and the wreck is still sitting out on our farm. So when I was a young kid, I used to go out and stay with Nan and Pop. I used to go and sit in the wreck, and I just loved silver XYs. I don't mind going to car shows, and it's never meant to have been a show car. It sort of started off with a cheap respray in a mate's shed and got out of control. Everything's been done by mates in our sheds. It was painted in a friend's back shed. We sort of never expected it to be as good as it was. It came out unbelievable. So from then, everything sort of snowballed. I had another friend do the trim. We bolted everything together here. We had friends help me out with the brakes and things like that. Everything was done in mates' sheds around the place. The car never went to a workshop or anything. My family's a little bit Ford obsessed. We sort of like cars, but Ford's is where it's at. So my old man was doing up a XT V8 Fairmont before he passed away. So I'd like to finish that next. It's almost done, it's painted, it's got the trim done, just sort of needs engine and brakes, but I'd like to get that going so that my mum can drive it. From as young as I remember, I've had XY pictures in books and posters on the walls, and I just always wanted this model car. I just love driving it. I still get anxiety when I drive it. It's an unbelievable feeling. So I've wanted this car my whole life, and to finally have it on the road, it's not finished yet, but to be able to drive it and enjoy it is unbelievable.